Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Soliloquy. So tonight I want to talk about different communication styles. And in particular, I want to introduce one thing that Japanese people often do, but native speakers do not do. And one thing that Japanese people do not do, but native speakers do. So, one thing that native speakers of English often do not do is say things like, oh, yeah, I see. They actually rarely say that in a conversation. If you watch like a talk show and there are two people, and if one person is speaking, then the other person just listens quietly. They rarely say things like, I see, yeah. And you might find that surprising, because I think in Japan, it's actually encouraged. People are encouraged to say things like that while they're listening, to show that they're listening. So for instance, you probably often say like, hi, when you're listening to someone speak, and you want to show them that you understand what they're trying to say. But in English, for native speakers of English, they actually rarely do this. So I think it might be because if you it seems like you're interrupting if you keep saying, yep, yeah. So I really recommend you to have a look at like some talk shows or something and listen carefully to how the listener is reacting. Normally, they don't say anything. They're just looking. Sometimes they might be nodding, but they rarely make any noises. Okay, so that's one thing that native speakers of English often do not do, but Japanese people do. Now the other way around. So something that native speakers of English often do is that they repeat the name of the person they're speaking to. And I think it's especially if they don't know that person well. So for instance, if you're like a news anchor and you're listening to like a news reporter telling you about what's happening at a particular country or something. So let's imagine I'm the reporter and the news anchor is someone called Mary. So if the news anchor asks me, all right, so how's the situation over there? Please tell us about the situation. Then I might say something like, well, Mary, the situation is absolutely terrible. And the interesting thing is, you can put the name almost anywhere in a sentence. Okay, so that was near the beginning of the sentence, but you could also say, well, the situation is absolutely terrible, Mary. Like that. You can say it at the end as well. And I'm not exactly sure, but I think one of the reasons why they might be repeating the name of the person they're speaking to is to try and establish rapport. So rapport is like a connection with them. So that's why I said, especially with people who you don't know very well, you might tend to do this. So I find that very interesting because you might have noticed that most Japanese people, they rarely say the names of the person they're speaking to. And it might be because in Japanese you can omit the subject of a sentence and just go straight onto the verb. But also, maybe some people feel a little shy to say the name of the other person, or especially if the other person has like a higher status than you, then you feel maybe it might be rude to say their names too many times. Yep, so I thought that these differences were quite interesting. So please tell me what you think about my observations. Okay, so tonight's talk was about different styles of communication. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you again tomorrow. Have a good night.